Welcome back to the Culture of Splife podcast. I'm your host, Josh Crago, and Rod will be coming in here in a moment. Drew won't be with us here again this week, but possibly be back next week. So we've got an action-packed show today. We've got a lot to unpack in a short amount of time. Uncle Joe's trivia will be back, so we'll have some good trivia questions here in the next couple minutes. But as always, you can follow us at anywhere social media exists. So that's at Culture of Splife. So any social media outlet that you use, we are there. So check it out at Culture of Splife. So Rod is coming in here right now.
Hey.
Welcome, Mr. Bradley.
Indeed.
Nostradamus himself.
I try to be as much as possible. Now, if I could just be that in the financial sector, then we'd be all good to go.
There you go. No doubt. When's Bitcoin going to hit it big, right?
Yeah, if I can figure that one out.
Number.
Yeah.
So we're going to go ahead and get started here. Like I said, we've got a lot to talk about today, and Uncle Joe is back, right? So we're going to kick it off with Uncle Joe's trivia. So the first question of tonight is let me rewind. So name the last 4 NBA coaches to be fired after winning an NBA championship.
That's a good one. I think we'll have a lot of action on that simply because there's been a lot of action on coaches.
There has. Absolutely. So yeah, I thought that would be a good one. I got two good NBA ones for today, since obviously tis the season, right?
No doubt.
The second question is, who is the last NBA coach to win an NBA championship in his first year as head coach for the organization?
That should be a good one too.
Yes.
I think you'll have a lot of people thinking. I think you may have a lot of people thinking that one right off the top of their heads. I don't know if they will get it right, but
right. Exactly. So we don't have anybody in here to comment yet, because they're probably confused, since we're starting probably 7 minutes earlier than we normally do, right?
I mean, what do we usually say? If you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. So I guess everybody prescribed to that philosophy of thinking that we would be late, which would be our own time.
Exactly. We're batting 1,000 for sure. So, but hey, we were able to get on, no technical difficulties. So we were able to be on at 8:00. Look at that. Thank you, Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, Zuckerberg. Yeah. Hey, that's making progress. Like every week we strive to get better, just like the great success story we had last night in the NBA, right?
Oh yes, definitely, no doubt. Yeah, I mean, Nostradamus Rod, tell us what you told us before the playoffs even started.
No, I want you to actually go through, because you're usually very good at talking about all these things that I've mentioned beforehand, and they end up happening. So,
all right. So we all know that you picked UConn to win the national championship.
And I talked to you about that in January, if you will recall.
I was going to say before the conference tournament,
for
certain. I remember that because I was big on UCLA, and then I remember UCLA lost to Arizona in the conference tournament, but you had already called UConn to win the national championship at that point.
Yeah, I said I felt like they had the pieces, and then I also saw the run that went on like back in November when they were just beating everybody by double digits, and we're talking about like Alabama and like some of the more elite teams. And yeah, I know they hit that stretch where they lost like 5 in a row or something like that. But when it counted, I could see that that's the type of team that would be hard to beat.
That's right.
Now, I didn't think they would be quite as dominant as they were. But then again, that also had to do with some busted brackets. But it doesn't matter who they would have played. They were
right. Right, exactly. And then we move on to the NBA, where you said before the playoffs started, the Lakers have an easy journey, easy trip, easy way to get to the Western Conference Finals.
Yep.
And that was them having to beat the number 2 seeded Memphis Grizzlies.
Because I said they were without Steven Adams and Jaren Jackson.
Yep. That Grizzlies team didn't have Clark, didn't have the Australian guy.
And Jackson was banged up too. And then, of course,
Steven Adams
was banged up.
Ja was banged up because, as we all know, the court is undefeated, right?
Yes.
You hit the court that many times, it's going to hurt.
Yes.
And here we are. They breezed through the Grizzlies. We talked about old Dylan last week, so we'll pass on him. They win by 40.
Just like the Grizzlies are passing on him.
Exactly. No doubt. And then here we are. Last night, probably everybody picked the Warriors to even the series.
Mm-hmm.
And here come the Lakers, right? And not only the Lakers, kind of an unsung hero.
Lonnie Walker.
The fourth.
Happened.
Game 4.
Yes.
Yes.
He happened.
That's right.
But, just going back, and, we had discussed it, and I said that just with the way the playoff bracket fell for the Lakers, like you said, you got a very wounded Grizzlies team. I even just said, like, it felt like they had maybe just been playing together for like 10 games, but you had AD and LeBron back. And then I just said that whether the Kings or the Warriors came out of their series, the Lakers just had a better matchup with them. And so I felt like they were a team that would be into the Western Conference Finals. And, if they win this one here, I felt like they get to the Western Conference Finals. Maybe they lose in like 6 games or something like that. But, right now, they've got a shot. I didn't say they were going to win it yet, but they've got a legitimate shot to actually win the championship this year, I feel like, with the way they play defense. Like, if Davis doesn't get hurt and he's playing defense at the level he's playing right now, I think they've got a good shot.
Exactly. We talked about Bubble Murray last week.
Mm-hmm.
How about Bubble AD?
Yes.
Because that's exactly what he did when they won the championship.
I mean, he was just dominant.
Dominated.
I mean, a complete dominant defensive presence. And what most people don't even remember about him is when he was at Kentucky and they won the championship, everybody's like, oh, he's just so dominant. He only scored 5 points in that championship game, but he had like 17 rebounds and like an ungodly amount of block shots. In fact, and so it was his defensive presence that delivered in college, and it's the same way here. That's where he greatly impacts the game the most.
That's right. Absolutely. Yes. So, obviously the name of our show is Culture of Splife, right? And that means that's the intersection of sports and life.
Mm-hmm.
So we mentioned Lonnie Walker. I mean, was that not a life lesson last night?
Oh, big time life lesson. In fact, I've heard a lot of coaches just talking about the fact, particularly at the high school and AAU and even some collegiate levels, that are wanting to talk about utilizing his story, which one of the biggest things that he talked about was just the fact that, he didn't allow the adversity of not being able to play to just impact what he decided to do day in and day out. And he even talked about wanting every day to be better than the day before, and just to be patient and understanding that if I continue to sacrifice, if I continue to get better each and every day, just a little bit at a time, that I would eventually have a breakthrough. I would eventually have that moment that comes. And I know we've been in the sales profession before. And what is it, Ziglar? What he used to say? He said that success is when preparation meets opportunity, right?
That's right.
That's exactly what happened last night there. So just and like we talk about with life, like the biggest thing, and you've got kids in sports, I've got kids in sports, and just in general, is there's just such a, well, partially it's in ingratitude, but it's just everything's just supposed to happen right away. If it doesn't happen right away, like, you screw this, it's somebody else's fault, or it's time to go to the transfer portal if I don't get a starting job, right? this is the prime example of what happens when you just stick with it. Like we've been talking about Jalen Hurts for the last several weeks, right? And talked about his success story where he's he for about 2 to 3 weeks he was the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. But how he lost his starting job at Alabama. He still, the next year, was able to be a success story coming off the bench in the same way that he lost his job. And then, you even brought up the fact that he was benched the year before in the middle of the playoff chase for the Eagles. And look at where he is now. Like, that's just a story. But we don't see that. How often, that's transfer portal, or the Lonnie Walker situation. Like, it just, so this is just a lesson that patience and perseverance, it makes a difference, right?
Absolutely. I mean, remember, Lonnie Walker was a first-round draft pick out of Miami to the San Antonio Spurs. And as we were talking about in pregame, I don't even know how he got to the Lakers.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was DFA'd or what happened. But all of a sudden, he's on the Lakers. Game 1, he plays 0 minutes. DNP, coach's decision. Game 2, the Warriors win by 27 points. And he plays, I think, the whole fourth quarter. 12 minutes, scores 9 points on 4 of 6 shooting. And that's when Darvin Ham was kind of like, wait a minute. And then he played a good bit in game 3. And then in game 4, he played 27 minutes. But obviously, everybody's talking about the last 12. I mean, we were barely back from commercial break, and he's already hitting that first jumper to start the fourth quarter. And it was like, wait a minute.
You texted last night like Lonnie Walker. And then, I had to throw up a Jordan meme. It was the one from game 1 in the 92 finals when he hit like 6 threes in the first half, and he was just like this after making that 6th one. I mean, that's all you can say about Lonnie Walker.
Right.
Fourth quarter Lonnie Walker.
That's right.
Was just amazing. And just even an aside to that too, what we were just talking about from a life standpoint. Like, I know there's like literally kids on my daughter's AAU team that if you took them out for like 3 minutes, they're done. Well, I want to be on another AAU team. I mean, it's just right. But right. I mean, but you got this as just such a great lesson. So we talk about fourth quarter Lonnie coming through. What's going on with fourth quarter Steph Curry this playoffs, right? Yes, man. And now this just he basically started the wave with the basketball while he was on the floor for that jump ball. Like, what in the world's going on?
Yeah, he makes this heroic corral of the ball, on the jump ball. He's on the ground. They have a timeout.
I mean, he's really scared of those right now.
And he looks like a kid on Christmas Day, all excited to look back to see where the ball goes. There's nobody behind him.
I mean, I think that's something I've seen on like the playground at elementary, right? What are you doing? I'm open.
Yep, exactly. And then you had, before we get into our friend Jordan Poole, so if Lonnie Walker is the hero of that game, Jordan Poole is the GOAT of the series so far, I would say.
And we mean the literal GOAT, not like what everybody else thinks about GOATs right now, or some of the people who are self-proclaimed GOATs too. So.
Right. Yeah, we are not trying to put him in the Jordan LeBron conversation, I promise.
No. He's a literal GOAT. I mean, you were talking in pregame about his stat line the last few games. It's horrendous.
Oh, yes.
Josh, you tell our listeners about this.
So he had 6 points in game 2. Mm-hmm. He had 5 points in game 3, mm-hmm. and he had 0 points and only played 10 minutes in game 4.
Mm-hmm. And what's his contract again?
$30 million a year. I believe it was $4,120. Maybe $5,150, but $30 million a year. He averaged 20 points a game in the regular season, kind of like Clayton Kershaw for the Dodgers, right? Yes. A stud during the regular season when nobody cares. but then what do you do when it matters? But he has been in the news quite a bit for his personal life.
Yes. So I mean, unfortunately for him, fortunately for him, they're not like his salary isn't performance based at this point, or else, it'd be pretty hard to have 500, $500,000 for dates, right?
Right. What's the girl's name again? Ice Spice?
Yeah.
I don't even know who that was, but that
the only thing ice right now for him is the way he's shooting the ball.
Exactly. Yep. And maybe the one around his neck that if he's not careful, he's going to be pawning here in 5 or 7 years.
Yes.
Call AI and ask him how that works out,
I mean, his last name is Poole, and right now he couldn't hit water from a boat.
Exactly. But it's not all Jordan Poole. Not all Jordan Poole. No. Right? We had Draymond Green. I don't know if you saw this.
Oh, yes.
But in the first half, he passed the ball to the Lakers bench because Gary Payton Jr. ran into the tunnel or something. So he wasn't where he was supposed to be. He just randomly ran off the court in the middle of the game and went to the tunnel. I don't know if we're just going to leave that alone. I don't know if he was injured or if he had an emergency, but it doesn't matter. He just ran off the court. And so Draymond threw the ball to the Lakers bench. Well, then with 26 seconds left,
yes,
Golden State down a point. He gets an offensive rebound off of Steph Curry's 29-footer.
Back up.
Has Dennis Schroeder on him.
And what does he do?
Kicks it back out to Steph.
That's exactly. I mean, I when I saw that, I was like, he didn't even turn around. Like, he was under the goal with, like you just said, Schroeder right on him. And he didn't even think just to turn around and lay it up. His first thought was to just kick it back out to Steph.
That's right. We remember who did that against Trae Young a couple years ago, right? Ben Simmons.
Oh, man. I mean, his head was just completely whacked. And then we even talked about something that was very similar to that, too, was obviously the J.R. Smith episode in the NBA Finals Game 1 in 2018. When he literally had the ball, he just go up and he dribbled it backwards, just thinking that they were ahead by 1 instead of tied. So.
That's right. So he kicks it out to Steph, and then Steph throws up a shot like it's the last second shot. Like it's one of his patented three-quarter court that he made against the Grizzlies a few years back.
Yep.
But there were 14 seconds on the shot clock when he threw it up. I don't know what he was doing.
So kids,
then, as you talked about the jump
mistakes.
What's that?
I was about to say, kids, you can make rec ball mistakes and get paid $40 million a year.
Exactly. No doubt. Be 6'1", impress people when you're able to dunk the basketball. But hey, as long as you can shoot it, it's all that matters.
Yep.
That's all that matters. So then that last possession, Draymond Green, why is he bringing the ball up the court? I mean, you have arguably the best ball handler in the NBA. And where was he on that play? Draymond Green dribbles right up, about runs out of bounds, and then throws the ball to AD.
Really
and then AD doesn't call a timeout, and there's a jump ball. I mean, kids, don't watch that last minute of the game. That was bad basketball.
I mean, you would never think that most of these guys have 4 championships. Exactly. And you're still on the same team that you won the championships with. Kind of would think that you've done this a few times to know those situations.
That's right. Exactly.
But apparently not.
That's for sure. No doubt. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
They can close it out tomorrow night. So if they do that, those old heads will be able to rest a little bit because Phoenix and Denver is going to go to 7. I mean, that's an insane series.
That series is totally going 7. I fully expect the Nuggets to win tonight. I think the Phoenix will win probably handily in Game 6. And then I think you're going to have, get your popcorn ready in Game 7.
Absolutely. No doubt. So last thing on the Lakers, I don't know if you saw this, but JJ Redick, did you hear what he
I
said?
did not.
I can't believe I didn't send this to our chat. He said that Anthony Davis is the most inconsistent player he's ever seen. At his ceiling, he's Joel Embiid. At his floor, he is JaVale McGee.
Wow. And the only person Shaqtin' the fool there is JJ Redick. Right?
Exactly. That's
I mean,
exactly right.
JaVale was the most decorated star of Shaqtin' the fool.
Right.
But
That's exactly right.
and
I don't know how.
I thought it was pretty disrespectful for Davis to not even be named second team all defense in the NBA as well.
Right.
Like that was crazy too. Like that came out today, but
It's because he plays every other game.
Yeah.
Oh, and he didn't play a whole lot. I think he only played in like 40 games all season.
Yeah, I think they said it was like 56 games or something.
56, okay.
That he played.
Yeah.
But your defensive player of the year played in like 50-something games too. So it was really just one of those things where they just straight up disrespected him. But I mean, and the media's disrespecting him as well right now too. So now, granted, he is inconsistent, but let's just think about it. Like, how many players in the history of the NBA could you say that over the course of a 5, 6, or 7 game series were like great in just about every game outside of, say, a Jordan or a Kobe or a Shaq or something like that, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, like, yes, he should be an elite player the majority of the time, should not be just an enigma game in and game out. But, I mean, the way that.
But you got to get double figures.
Yes.
You got to get double figures every game. And there are games that he didn't get double figures.
Oh, I know. And there's some games where he like took 5 shots a half,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. 3 games ago, he had, I think, 7 rebounds in 36 minutes.
Yeah, that's pretty
and
bad.
Looney had 8 rebounds in 7 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. Oh, and then the last thing was that Pat Bev and Russell Westbrook are talking about how they want a ring if the Lakers. Yeah.
I think what's really sad here is the best chance of them getting a ring is to be let go from that team to get better players, and then them just kind of collect on the ring that they didn't have to. I mean, like, that's literally where we are with them right now.
Exactly. If I remember correctly, a couple years ago, there was a player who played on both teams in the championship.
Yes.
So he got a ring regardless. I can't remember who it was, but I remember that.
Was it DeMarcus Cousins? I don't know. I'm trying to remember.
I don't know.
I think it may
have to look that up.
Yeah, because it was wasn't it like the I was wondering, was it the Raptors and Warriors that year? We'll have to look it up.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, that's gonna drive me crazy. Okay, all right, let's kick it over to the Indianapolis Colts in the NFL. Come on, Jim Irsay. Come on, Jim Irsay.
Oh man, tampering with Andrew Luck. Okay, so let's even unpack this. This scenario here. This would be the scenario that they're complaining about. Andrew Luck, after multiple years, decides to unretire after years of emotional and physical pain, losing self-confidence, organizational mismanagement. He decides to just get back in the fray after all of that for the chance to play for Dan Snyder and the Washington Commanders. That's comical to even say, right?
Right.
Like we've got toddlers that wouldn't even believe that scenario at this point. But that's the scenario that Mr. Irsay is arguing needs to be handled.
Yeah. It sounds like a marketing term that I learned back in the day. that I use to this day in sales. I think Jim Irsay has a little cognitive dissonance, a little buyer's remorse, right?
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson, maybe not our franchise quarterback.
No,
I don't know.
I don't think so either.
Because why is this only coming out now?
Yeah.
Why are the Colts reporting that there was tampering 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And, I mean, let's look at the quarterbacks they've gone through here. I mean, Carson Wentz, Jacoby Brissett. I mean,
Phillip Rivers.
Yep.
Peyton Manning.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, basically ran Peyton Manning out.
Yeah,
he goes and gets a ring.
Look, I mean, remember the motto was suck for luck.
That's right. That's exactly right. So, and don't forget, Carson Wentz wasn't free.
No.
You could probably play like 7 Degrees of Kevin Bacon and look back and see who the Eagles got for Carson Wentz in the draft, because I'm sure there were some pretty sizable assets that are playing regular season games.
Yeah.
While the Indianapolis Colts win 10 of their first, 14 games?
Yes.
And lose 3 in a row 2 years ago with Carson Wentz, and the last one being the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yes. And I mean, they got beat like handily in that game.
I think they were like a 14-point favorite, and they lost by like 20.
Yeah, that's the worst part of it too. And they were still under that narrative of Wentz just had some unfortunate luck with injuries and everything, but the Eagles would have still been where they were even if he had,
Right. Exactly.
We clearly see that, as Dennis Green used to say, Wentz was who we thought he was.
That's right. Exactly. No doubt. And
I do agree with you on that. There's a lot of buyer's remorse going around, and so we've got to find something to deflect and be upset about and create a diversion from our bad choices as a management.
I know this isn't pile up on Carson Wentz time, but then he goes to the Commanders and lays an egg over there.
So, hey, they got to get back. I mean, it's bad.
Yep. No doubt. So, all right, you ready for the Uncle Joe's trivia answers?
Oh, let's bring them on.
All right. So the first question I had was, who are the last 4 NBA coaches to be fired after winning an NBA championship?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer to that question is the Los Angeles Clippers head coach, Ty Lue,
that's one, was
fired by the Cleveland Cavaliers. Then you had Frank Vogel in the 2020 bubble Lakers championship. Then you had, I missed one. In 2019,
yes,
you had Nick Nurse, right? The same guy that won. Yeah.
He won in 2019 with the Raptors.
Yeah, he won with first-year Kawhi, right?
Yep.
I mean, Kawhi comes over from San Antonio. He wins the championship,
Mm-hmm.
But it's what have you done for me lately, I guess. Then, of course, Vogel, like I said, and then Budenholzer.
Yes.
I'm probably saying his name wrong, but
no, that's right.
2021, and probably the head coach of the year in 2021.
Correct.
Loses,
and I mean, he had the best record in the NBA this year.
Right. That's exactly right.
And I mean, they were trying to get rid of him the year he won it. They were like, if you don't get to the championship, then you're going to be fired here. So that's just. And here's what's crazy about those 4 is you look at Ty Lue, won his championship in 16, then he gets fired in 18. Vogel won the championship in 20.
Yeah.
He gets fired in 22.
Yeah.
Now Budenholzer wins the championship in 21, gets fired in 23. So 3 of the 4 were fired 2 seasons after winning the championship.
Yeah.
How crazy is that? Now, the Nurse, he was still a pretty solid coach as far as, I mean, they were making playoffs and everything else, but we're 4 seasons removed.
Right.
So,
that's true.
So people are starting to look like, well, the direction doesn't look good, but that's just kind of crazy.
Right. And I mean, look at that team. I mean, they have Van Fleet,
Yes.
who can score 50 in one game and 7 in the next.
Yeah.
Then you have Siakam, who's inconsistent. And then you have Scotty Barnes, inconsistent.
Yep.
So, I mean, when I went to that Knicks-Raptors game, Scotty Barnes took over. And then I kind of got on the Raptors bandwagon. They went and played Utah. I was like, oh, they'll beat the Jazz.
Oh, no.
Scotty Barnes forgot to show up that game.
That was milk carton Scotty.
That's right. Exactly. Exactly. Then the second question was, who is the last NBA coach to win the NBA championship in his first year as a head coach? Mm-hmm. And the answer to that, and I almost gave it away a minute ago, I know you heard it, was Nick Nurse. Yes. Got old Kawhi from San Antonio. Kawhi hits the 22-footer. Yep. Against Philly, it bounces. I think it's still bouncing on the rim.
It's still bouncing. I mean, that was Disney movie-esque.
Exactly.
The way it was bouncing around there.
Tiger Woods in the Masters with that ball stopping on the swoosh and then dropping into the cup. You know? Insane. So, Rod, pretty big weekend we have this weekend, right?
There's no doubt. What's going on this weekend? This is our weekend. We show mamas love all the time, but we got to show them extra love for the Mother's Day weekend, right?
That's right.
And so, I mean, you know, we're a sports and life podcast, and we got a ton of people that watch us and listen and follow that are just huge sports enthusiasts and athletes and everything else. And so, one of the things that we talked about in pregame and one just in general is just talk about is just how important mothers have been in the sports world, just in general. Like it was a couple of days ago, we were talking about how back in the day, when somebody scored a touchdown or made a big shot in a game or crushed a home run, like what was the first thing? They was, "Hi, Mom," in front of the camera. That was back in the day. That's what we used to do, and we even just talk about it now. Like mothers are probably the biggest cheerleaders you will ever see. They're the ones typically making the sacrifices, getting kids to these events and being 3 places at one time. And we even joke around like Miss Kelsey there, they're the ones that they got 2 sons, when they got, half the jersey on this side and the other half here. And usually when we see these athletes get that big contract, what's the first thing they do? They take care of mom, right? They get mom in the house. So they take care of mom's bills or all the sacrifices that she made just to put them in a position to fulfill their dreams or their God-given gifts. And so, that's just one of the things that it's important to just look at and reflect on this weekend. So, they always just say that, if you want the household to be happy, mama needs to be happy. So
that's right.
We really suggest that all you listeners out there, make sure that mama's happy this weekend, right?
That's
and
right.
Just show her the appreciation for all the things that they've done and they've sacrificed, and quite frankly, all the things that they put up with. Like I look around like now, being a dad myself, and I'm like, oh my goodness, what in the world my parents have to put up with here? I can't believe they did it. So yeah.
Absolutely. So do y'all have plans for Sunday?
Yeah. Well, we're gonna go ahead and take care of mom. There's some things that she's been wanting us to do around, big gardener and all these other things, and so we're gonna just show appreciation, take care of that. And then we got a few little surprises that I can't really say on this podcast just so it didn't get around.
That's
but
right.
but yeah, we're gonna definitely do that and let that be a day where mom gets to sit back and chill out, and we take care of her. What about you, Mr. Crago?
About the same. Get up, go to church, have a nice lunch. At whatever restaurant mom wants to go to, which will probably turn out to be wherever the kids want to go. But, that'll be the plan anyway.
Yes.
And then, of course, probably have some surprises as well that we can't talk about because, our moms as well as our wives are some of our biggest listeners. So,
yes.
I know my wife is normally on here listening, but she and the kids are watching Puss in Boots in the room next door. So they're gonna have to catch it on demand. But
They having a break tonight from Dance Moms?
that's right. No Dance Moms tonight. Yes, yes. All right, man. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up for tonight.
That's right.
Another great show. And y'all remember, we're not trying to be talking heads. You've got people for that. You know, you've got the old boxing guy who's now on whatever, Get Up or whatever. Max
Kellerman.
Max
Yeah.
Kellerman. Yeah. You've got Stephen A. Smith. You've got your Sports Center anchors. You have Shannon Sharp and the clown who works with him. You know, you have lots of talking heads, and we like to bring a different perspective. We like to talk about things that if you watch these shows, you haven't heard yet. But if you have, let us know, because that's not what we want to do. We want to bring our opinions, and we want to hear your opinions, and we just want to make it a great show every week. You know, obviously, we're going to have more guests. We actually had a former guest reach out to us asking if we needed help again this week. So I guess he had fun, you know, several weeks back when he was on the show. So, you know, we're definitely going to have guests. We're going to continue to bring as much sports knowledge as we can, as well as much life lessons. Malcolm last week really taught us a lot about accountability.
Oh, so big.
Absolutely. So we will continue to have shows that we not only talk about sports, but we also talk about life. I know that we talked a lot about AAU, and I have a story for y'all next week that we didn't get to this week. So we'll save that for next week. But as always, continue to find us on all social media platforms. You know, they're all out there. I don't need to go through all of them. We're at Culture of Splife. So we appreciate you listening today. If you have any feedback at all, please don't hesitate to give it to us. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, you like what you hear, subscribe so it'll show up in your feed all the time. And if you don't, just don't review us. Send us a message directly so you don't hurt our ratings. But until next Tuesday, we've enjoyed it as always. We'll see you next Tuesday at 8 o'clock.
All right.